he's right about that.
Abby, it's more than just that. Not only does Donald Trump have money, he has money with the RNC, he has money with his super PACs, and his money has money. Look at all of the tech billionaires that are around him now. There is an indefinite amount of money. And I believe wholeheartedly that the Des Moines Register, very much like ABC Disney, is going to capitulate. And I believe that Donald Trump has actually figured out a way how to change the way that media deals with issues, whether it's...
Are you worried at all about this, Scott, just where it could go? Not just the Donald Trump of it all, but, I mean, if he's creating precedent, it's for everybody.
Well, when you introduced, Michael used the word narratives, and I think one of the reasons Republicans are cheering on this muscular attitude from Trump and pushing back against some of this is because Republicans feel like constantly media organizations, especially in the throes of campaigns, work overtime to create false narratives that may shape the contours of the election. Look what happened. When this poll came out in Iowa, the entire English-speaking world was talking about the gold standard pollster, and Harris has this momentum, and ultimately what we were told was complete garbage. And if you talked to pollsters at the time, they would have told you, this is not real, this methodology is not good anymore. But that's not what people chose to run with because it fit what most people in the press wanted the narrative to be. So he's pushing back on that. I don't, frankly, have a problem with it. And if they capitulate, it's because they don't want to go through the discovery and what that might show.
You're a practitioner, Scott. I mean, it's a bad poll. A bad poll is a bad poll.
It's worse than a bad poll.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. I got to tell you guys, we are not done winning, okay? I hope that you guys are not tired of eating these W's. I hope you're not too full yet because there are more W's to come, okay? Because President Trump has indicated that he is going to go after the media for essentially colluding in order to affect the outcome of the election, okay? Now, he started with ABC, CBS, right? With the CBS lawsuit, he basically has sued them for editing Kamala Harris's interview in a deceptive way in order to make her look more competent than she actually is. That lawsuit still is making its way through the legal system. ABC recently settled a defamation lawsuit brought against them by President Trump because of George Stephanopoulos, a.k.a. George Slopopotamus, defaming the president live on air while trying to smear him as a rapist. Even though Trump was not found civilly liable of rape, he went on national television, George Stephanopoulos, and said it anyways, multiple times, okay? And we all know why he did it. He did it because they want to try to make it seem like Trump did something that he did not do, okay, which would affect people's opinions of him and maybe affect the outcome of the election. And now Trump is suing the Des Moines Register and Ann Seltzer for an extremely inaccurate poll that came out right before the election showing Kamala Harris beating Trump in Iowa. And what a lot of people are arguing is an attempt to affect the outcome of the election, to give the Democrats hopium, to push this narrative that these Democrat and Republican women are going to go out here and vote in droves against Trump due to abortion. And the mainstream liberal media, they're not handling this well because Trump is weaponizing what they weaponized against him the last 8 years, which is lawfare. And even this CNN panel, right? Even on this CNN panel, in which, again, they were melting down about the possibility of Trump going after media outlets like CNN. Michael Cohen, who is extremely anti-Trump, even he agreed with Trump on this lawsuit against the Des Moines Register over this poll because he recognizes that, the media, they have very sloppy journalism, that they essentially push things that are in favor of their narrative. And what they're really afraid of is discovery, right? They're afraid of people finding out that, hey, maybe this poll came out in collusion with the Democrat Party or some other entity with the intent of trying to affect the outcome of the election.
I hate to say it, but Scott is actually right about this one. I hate to say it because Scott and I very rarely agree on anything. He's right. He's right. He's right about this in the fact that sloppy journalism, sloppy polling, and what they did. It's Look, I was the recipient of more than 100 lies. And I understand what Trump is doing in terms of changing the way defamation cases are brought in this country. You may remember the allegations. I was in Prague, never been to Prague. I was in Czechoslovakia. I paid $10 million to Kompromat. I have a house next to Putin in Sochi. None of this is true. On top of that, there was another one that came out as an example where I allegedly was paid $400,000 by Poroshenko to create a meeting between him and Donald Trump during the presidency. That is also not true.
So do you think it should be easier? You believe it should be easier?
No, I think that media has to do their job. They have to actually, they need to get the facts
But wait a
right.
second.
We were right.
One person on the podcast, Joe Rogan. All of these people are Trump supporters. What media are you talking about that's anti-Trump?
You're not familiar with the anti-Trump media?
You're not familiar with the fact that you guys control for everything
of
from
all
podcasts?
the things I've heard you say out here, that might be the nuttiest.
Scott,
believe me, there's plenty of anti-Trump media.
She's trying to pay you.
I'm trying
to pay conservatives.
what I'm basically trying to say is that you guys have taken over the airwaves. You guys have taken over the radio airwaves. You guys have taken over podcasts. You guys have taken over pretty much, and now you're sitting here complaining because all you guys do is whine and complain. Your entire raison d'etre is to have grievances. You don't actually think about leading. You just think about having grievances against the media.
I'd like
against
to add
anybody
a
who's
grievance
anti-Trump.
if I could.
Because I can keep going here.
Just another grievance is that Republicans are frustrated. They feel as though the media has been out against them. Some of that is social media. Some of that is influencers. Some of that is just false narratives. And I think that this poll was just sort of the final straw, and people felt like it was somehow deliberate, that there was a deliberate attempt.
That's the word of the day, deliberate. What happens when it was deliberate? That's the whole point that Donald Trump is trying to explore right now. What happens when that deliberate fake poll comes out and does actually alter? Now, by the way, you forgot about X, you forgot about Truth Social,
Thank you, yes,
and so
thank
on.
you.
But what happens when it is deliberate? And that's why I believe that ABC ended up folding, because they did not want discovery to take place.
Yeah.
There's no other reason, as far as I'm concerned,
They
as to why
folded
did it.
because they wanted to suck up to Donald Trump. That's what.
Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that, okay? I think that Michael Cohen and Scott Jennings are correct. That, yeah, the reason why ABC folded is because they don't want to go through discovery, okay? And we're going to see what happens with the Iowa poll, right? And Ann Seltzer and the Des Moines Register, and whether or not they're going to fold, right? And if they end up folding, it's going to be because of the same reason, because discovery would show that this was deliberate, that there was some type of collusion in order to affect the outcome of the election. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, but all I'm saying is that Trump has the right to file this lawsuit and to say, hey, I believe that this was fraudulent. And at the end of the day, if he's wrong, he's wrong. But if he's right, that is the last thing that these liberal media outlets and some of these fake pollsters want the American people to learn, right? The last thing they want people to learn is that, yeah, we skew a lot of our data, that we put out these narratives, that we push propaganda on behalf of the Democrat Party, and we did so in order to undermine Trump, right? We were not engaging in actual science. We were not engaging in journalism or anything like that. No. We were just pushing propaganda, right? That is what they're afraid of, okay? So we're going to see what happens. But it's not just the liberal media, okay, and these fake pollsters that are a target of the so-called lawfare, right? You also have Liz Cheney, who is facing a whole lot of trouble for alleged witness tampering when it comes to the January 6th investigation, right? You guys know the January 6th committee, that hoax of an investigation against Trump, again, designed to smear Trump, right, to try to stop him from becoming president again. A House GOP report came out basically accusing Liz Cheney of witness tampering, which could subject Liz Cheney to an FBI investigation that is led by Kash Patel, okay? And this is why Kash Patel is their worst nightmare, right? So now the media, they're panicking over the fact that the tables have turned. The tables have turned. And I want to react to CNN talking about this, because clearly they're concerned about Liz Cheney, right? This is why Biden is considering giving out these pre-pardons, right? These pardons that would essentially get people like Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger and others off, right? The people that are part of the J6 committee, because the J6 committee may have engaged in fraudulent behavior in order to skew the outcome of the investigation, right, against Trump, okay, which is essentially what Trump is accusing the liberal media of doing. He's accusing these fake pollsters of doing. And yeah, they're panicking about this big time.
Donald Trump, just weeks away from being invested with the immense powers of the presidency, calling for a criminal investigation into Liz Cheney over witness tampering after a report from House Republicans singled her out, accusing her of colluding with a witness on the January 6th committee and recommending she be investigated for possible criminal prosecution. The president-elect weighing in on Tuesday's report just 3 hours ago, saying this on his Truth social platform, quote, Liz Cheney could be in a lot of trouble based on the evidence obtained by the subcommittee, which states that numerous federal laws were likely broken by Liz Cheney, and these violations should be investigated by the FBI, end quote, 3:11 a.m. this morning. The president-elect there, referring to the report released yesterday by a Republican-controlled House subcommittee, alleging what it called, quote, the failures and politicization of the January 6th Select Committee, end quote. The report calls the committee, quote, a political weapon with a singular focus to deceive the public into blaming President Trump for the violence on January 6th and tarnish the legacy of his first presidency. Among the report's allegations against Cheney, that she colluded with one of the committee's witnesses, Cassidy Hutchinson, who served as an assistant to White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows. Hutchinson provided testimony about Trump's actions on January 6th, including recounting a story she was told about an interaction the president had with his Secret Service driver.
The president said something to the effect of, I'm the effing president, take me up to the Capitol now. To which Bobby responded, sir, we have to go back to the West Wing. The president reached up towards the front of the vehicle to grab at the steering wheel. Mr. Engel grabbed his arm, said, sir, you need to take your hand off the steering wheel. We're going back to the West Wing. We're not going to the Capitol. Mr. Trump then used his free hand to lunge towards Bobby Engel.
In a length.
Does anybody really believe that? Does anybody really believe that? Really? Really? Again, that's a story that, in my opinion, is so ridiculous that it has to be made up, right? It has to be made up. Okay, I'm just saying, like, come on, man. This is the type of nonsense that was put out there, okay? And, again, we all know what the intent was, okay? So, again, Trump is essentially arguing that, no, we're not going to let you get away with this, okay? We're not going to let you get away with it. And honestly, I support it. I support Trump punishing these individuals, going after these individuals for this fraud, right? Because that's what it is, in my opinion.
Lengthy statement, Cheney refuted the report's findings. She says that it, quote, intentionally disregards the truth and the Select Committee's tremendous weight of evidence and instead fabricates lies and defamatory allegations in an attempt to cover up what Donald Trump did, end quote. What did Donald Trump do?
Nothing, right? Donald Trump didn't do anything. This is clearly CNN, again, running propaganda on behalf of the Democrats, okay, and the Never Trumpers. So, yeah, again, like I said, there are questions about this because this woman's testimony has come under a lot of fire due to the fact that there's no evidence at all to back up what this woman claimed happened, right? This article right here from The Guardian, House Republicans report contradicts witness account of Trump's will grab. U.S. House Republicans on Monday released a report they said it contradicted sensational January 6th committee testimony in which a former aide to Donald Trump described being told that as the attack on Congress unfolded, the then president was so eager to join supporters at the Capitol, he tried to grab the wheel of his car. Quote, the testimony of 4 White House employees directly contradicts claims made by Cassie Hutchinson and by the Select Committee in the final report. Read the report by the House Administration Subcommittee on Oversight, which searched for alleged bias or malpractice in the January 6th investigation. Quote, none of the White House employees corroborated Hutchinson's sensational story about President Trump lunging for the steering wheel of the beast, the report said, referring to the colloquial name for cars that carry the president. Quote, some witnesses did describe the president's mood after the speech at the eclipse. It is highly improbable that the other White House employees would have heard about the president's mood in the SUV following his speech at the eclipse, but not heard the sensational story that Hutchinson claims Anthony Ornato, the White House Deputy Chief of Staff for Operations, told her after returning to the White House on January 6th. Hutchinson, a former aide to Trump, and his final chief of staff, Mark Meadows, testified before the January 6th committee in private and in public. Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that. Okay, there's basically no evidence to back up this claim, right? And a lot of people are wondering, okay, where in the world did she get this story, right? Why did she say that? And a lot of people, again, are pointing to Liz Cheney and some alleged text messages that were exchanged, that were communicated between Liz Cheney and the witnesses. And people are saying, okay, well, maybe Liz Cheney was involved in this. Cheney allegedly exchanged calls and messages with Cassie Hutchinson, a first-term White House aide to then President Trump, via the encrypted app Signal just weeks before her June 2022 testimony, much of which was later largely debunked, House Republicans have previously claimed. It remains to be seen if Trump nominees to lead the Justice Department will act on the committee's recommendation. Quote, evidence uncovered by the subcommittee revealed that former Congresswoman Liz Cheney tampered with at least one witness, Cassie Hutchinson, by secretly communicating with Hutchinson without Hutchinson's attorney's knowledge, the report from Chairman Barry Loudermilk of Georgia said. The former Wyoming representative communications with Hutchinson were illegal and were outside the due functioning of the legislative process and therefore not protected by the speech and debate clause, Loudermilk claimed. Now, here's all these alleged text messages in which Alyssa Farah Griffin, the Trump deranged panelist on The View, she was acting as an intermediary between Liz Cheney and Cassie Hutchinson without the knowledge of Hutchinson's personal attorney, right? So you can see the alleged text messages here in which they acknowledge that what they're doing is unethical, okay? This is what Alyssa Farah Griffin said to Hutchinson, that Cheney, quote, one concern was so long as you have counsel, she can't really ethically talk to you without him. Yeah, so they acknowledge that what they were doing is wrong, okay? And again, the allegation here is that Cheney colluded with Hutchinson and Alyssa Farah Griffin to basically come up with some of these false stories against Trump, right? Some of these smears against Trump that came out during this select committee. And that's essentially what's going on here, right? And this is why they're afraid of investigations, right? This is why they're afraid of people like Kash Patel, okay? They say, oh, it's just a right-wing conspiracy. There were no laws broken, blah, 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 blah. Okay, well, if that's the case, what's wrong with an investigation? But see, we all know why they're afraid of the investigation, because of what we just went over. That if you investigate, you're going to find that, yes, the January 6th Select Committee was a scam. You have alleged witness tampering between Liz Cheney and some of the witnesses with the intent of doing what? To smear the former president, right? So, again, you know, we'll see what happens. But, yeah, now you know why Biden is considering giving out these preemptive pardons, right? Because they know that these individuals have done things that can be considered crimes, and then they're trying to protect them, okay, before Trump comes into office, and then they're boohoo whining and crying about what they did to Trump, right? They're boohoo whining and crying about lawfare, okay? But in this case, I think what Trump is doing is that he's seeking justice. This is justice, not revenge, justice. Democrats claim that they're not above the law. Nobody's above the law. So if that's the case, they should have no problems whatsoever with this. Nobody is above the law, including Democrats and never Trumpers. And Trump is essentially going to show them that. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.